Hello and welcome to Wingin It, and you join us again here for another Wingspan tournament game. This one's going to be a post-commentary. This is a game I played a few weeks ago now in the Tawny Eagle Throwdown, but I thought it was a pretty interesting game, pretty fun one to play, and well worth making into a video here. So yeah, we are going first in this game, so we're going to jump in and we're going to see what we've got in our starting hand here. You'll see it's not anything especially amazing. Pretty inauspicious start with this starting hand. Really kind of just the hummingbird probably that I'm looking at. And yeah, not really too many other good brown powers to go with. I mean, Merganser, not really something you look at too often. I mean, maybe with that golden eagle in the tray, definitely appealing. But yeah, Bob White as well. Maybe something just to get some eggs going. But really, yeah, all I'm thinking here is just keep that hummingbird, probably put that in the wetlands, and do a little bit of digging. Keep this extra food, of course. Could be using that to reset the tray, maybe just, yeah, get some more birds coming up to give us some more options to choose from. But yeah, probably just going to dig and try and get some birds down. So certainly, as I say, golden eagle in the tray might be one I've got my eye on, I think, with the platform builder as well. Good combo, but also just looking at this end around goal. With the rodents and the food cost, I mean, as soon as you can get something like that golden eagle down for 3 rodents, that is super strong. And yeah, could be the beginning of a good wetlands here. Maybe, you know, we're always looking for those mute swan, main duck type birds. Do that bit of digging and see what we can find. But yeah, we'll just keep the hummingbird for now. As I say, likely going to put that in the wetlands and see where that's going to take us. And alright, on to our first turn here. I'm going to give you 3 birds, so maybe slightly better start than us, but yeah, as mentioned, we are going to go with this hummingbird in the wetlands and keeping the food flexible. Obviously, not spending that nectar. I think if I have got my eye on that golden eagle, I think if I can pick that up and obviously grab the nectar with the hummingbird, that's a very nice, easy way of getting it down. But also keeping the worm, keeping the barium, sort of looking maybe the mockingbird could be a nice option, maybe to go with that as well. In the wetlands, but we're going to start with the top deck, and we're immediately going to find a silver eye, so more co-op powers and more giving out food, and it's definitely risky, I think, with something like this hummingbird. You know, even just that, obviously giving out nectar to my opponent. You might have seen they did play red-shouldered hawk on their first turn, so you know, getting a bit of food access going early on, but we are helping that and giving away nectar. Super risky in this early game. Super strong for your opponent to be getting that extra food, and yeah, definitely a risky situation. And we're going to potentially make it worse here by considering the silver eye. So when I was drawing on that previous turn, I was certainly thinking to myself, look, if I just get something terrible off the deck, I'm probably going to throw that for an extra egg, then get the golden eagle down, and then keep drawing. But with the silver eye coming up here, it's actually kind of worked out for me tempo-wise, because what it meant is that I could play it, then lay eggs, get the nectar back, of course. I had to spend on that, and then still get the golden eagle down. And you know, even if I am going wetlands here, I'm going to need to lay eggs at some point. And I think it is nice to have these sorts of situations where you're laying eggs and getting a bit of food at the same time, just to help flesh that out quicker. As I say, if I do find that mute swan type bird, I'm going to need food to play that. Being able to, yeah, as I say, get the food and then some eggs as well at the same time. Definitely pretty nice. So that's what we're going to do here. Lay our eggs and keep throwing out this nectar. So yeah, my opponent is definitely swimming in it, and carrying crow going down. So potentially golden eagle's going to help that. But as I say, they do already have the hawk out. So I'd be expecting, yeah, some more predator powers to come out. I'm definitely glad that I was the one to get my hands on that golden eagle. But carrying crow going in the wetlands, definitely a sign that maybe not the strong wetland brown powers. Maybe they've not come out yet, so we're kind of both a little bit struggling on that front. But as I say, if we can get this golden eagle out, we can do some digging and see where it takes us. So we're going to do just that. Opponent did take the chaffinch and the mockingbird on the previous turn, so gotta be honest, those are the ones, as I say, definitely the mockingbird that I was kind of having my eye on. Maybe do a bit of copying on that golden eagle, but potentially, you know, look at using that chaffinch later in the grasslands, because if we're going to dig and dig and dig and not find those wetland birds and just end up with a bunch of cards. It's quite nice to know that they're going to be worth points. With maybe a bit of a grassland pivot, I mean, maybe we're going to need to lay some eggs later in the game with that end of round goal coming up as well. So always something to think about, always something to kind of, yeah, be wary of, and maybe a pivot is going to be needed. And maybe that's where the silver eye comes into it as well a little bit, because, you know, if we do end up going into grasslands here, you know, maybe we find some nice tucking birds that we don't want to put in the wetlands, and maybe we want to go in the grasslands instead. It's an option available to us, but yeah, for now my mind is fully set on this wetlands, and yeah, hopefully we can get some nice round pass to add to it. So opponent's doing some digging as well. We are just going to continue doing that ourselves, and we're going to keep finding these co-op birds. Raven, that might have been a nice one to tempt me even more into that grasslands pivot, not to be golden eagle not doing its job there, but yeah, nightingale coming up. So there is such a thing as too much food co-op, but it also does sort of get to the point where when you're throwing out that much food, you know, it's a bit of a drop in the ocean to add a little bit more. So it's sort of on my mind that maybe that nightingale comes into it. But I think for now, I'm all right for food. You know, I'm actually not really finding stuff yet that's going to need this much food. And I think the hummingbird is quite nice, and certainly better than the nightingale, because obviously in these situations where the feeder is as it is now, if I'm going to use that hummingbird on my next turn, I can get a nectar. My opponent's not going to get one. So I'm at a definite advantage there, whereas obviously with the silver eye, with the nightingale, if I want to be getting nectar from that, I've got to give it out to my opponent as well. So a little bit of thinking and planning to do there. But yeah, I mean, who knows, maybe if we do just keep drawing cards and we're not finding the brown powers, we might need a bit more food, but we do get a very nice tray reset there, opponent drawing cards and revealing the white stork. So yeah, talking of birds that might tempt me into a grassland pivot, that is certainly up there. That is certainly high on the list. So yeah, we're very easily able to get the food here. I say with the hummingbird getting that nectar, and we can look at getting that white stork down, and it's potentially going to help for this end of round as well. As I said, with the golden eagle already got a strong advantage there, but white stork is going to help out a little bit. And yeah, my opponent with this carrion crow, you know, they're probably going to try and play more predators. 5 nectar in supply as well, so I'm sure we're going to see lots of birds coming out. And yeah, they're going to try and push for this end of round goal, but white stork is such a nice pickup there, and we are going to go straight into this grasslands here. So not really a question on my mind here. I mean, I think you could debate maybe you want to go in the wetlands and keep digging and see if you do find, you know, those mute swan, main duck type birds. Maybe even look for the chiff chaff and go mass tucking. But yeah, I think this felt like a nice time to move into the grasslands. Good timing at the end of this round 1, and just sort of keep my options open. I mean, we're sort of not committing into one habitat or the other, which I think works quite well in these Oceania games. You know, back on the base boards, it was sort of imperative that you sort of pick a habitat and stick with it, and sort of put all your good birds there and just run that engine. But I think you can sort of get away with this a bit more in Oceania, because obviously drawing cards, I can then discard those later for more eggs. So that's certainly a nice option to have available. And yeah, we're coming to round 2, and American Robin is in the tray, so that is certainly one I would have liked to be able to go and pick up. Unfortunately, obviously my opponent's going to deny that, but revealing a red-winged blackbird. So again, another nice brown power that could easily go in either habitat here. So we are going to have, yeah, potentially a bit of a decision in terms of, you know, do we stick with this grassland pivot? Do we go with the white stork with the blackbirds in the grasslands and just try and lay loads of eggs and score points that way? Or do we go back to this wetlands? Do we put the blackbird there, use that as a bit of an egg source? I mean, you might have seen my opponent did play the Zulu bunting in round 1, so we are going to be getting some free eggs coming through. It's always something to bear in mind, where if you are going grasslands, you know, you've got to try and make sure you've got egg space available, and that can certainly be a challenge sometimes, especially, yeah, with not super high egg capacity birds on my board as of yet. So we'll have a bit of a decision to make. Of course, we could just keep drawing, could just keep digging, either in the wetlands or, of course, using the white stork in this grasslands, resetting the tray. So I think we've got options available to us, but yeah, this is definitely going well so far, and we're definitely getting some good options. I mean, certainly when I started with just the hummingbird and, you know, play that in the wetlands and do a bit of digging, didn't really imagine I'd be getting sort of so many options at this stage of the game. So it's definitely nice, but it can, as I say, can make for some difficult decisions. We're going to have one coming up here. And alright, it's on to our next turn here. You see my opponent's going with the Predators, so Bardar going down. But really building out in this forest, and so that's sort of making me think here, what if we do go into this grasslands and we just throw food around? Because clearly, I think this is clearly a situation where we have got such a card advantage. We've got the much better wetlands, we've got this white stalk seeing better cards for us. My opponent has the food advantage, so obviously with that forest building out with the hawk and the owl, a few extra cards in hand can easily throw those, get a bit more food going. This is certainly a situation where throwing out food is good for me, certainly better for me than it is for my opponent. So yeah, we've already got, as I say, the silver eye that we sort of started with in that round one, but with this Nightingale as well, might be something, maybe go double food co-op and just really throw that food around, as I say, lay some eggs, score some points, see what the white stalk gets us, but also getting potentially that 2 food each time could be very, very nice. So that's certainly, what I'm thinking at the moment. And I think there's quite a nice way of just sort of laying eggs, getting the food, use the silver eye. Quite a good few turns coming up. I mean, maybe that diver might even be something, we look at playing in the wetlands, because I think, obviously, the stalk, it's going to be nice, but it's not going to keep us sustained all game. If we're laying eggs and we're tucking on the blackbird, we're sort of losing cards there and then gaining them back with the stalk. So we probably are going to have to draw cards every so often, especially if some nice trade birds come up. But yeah, for now, I think we can just keep on going, and we are, as I say, going to go into this grasslands, and we're going to keep getting some nice options coming up. So Towie is a tempting one, but you see their opponent went America Robin in the forest, so they're really, really committing into this forest, and that for me is just saying go with the food co-op, just throw this food around, because if your opponent, if their strongest activation is in that forest, they're going to want to use that as much as possible, obviously taking food, use those brown powers, but then they're just going to be left with a load of food. And so the silver eye, this Nightingale, if I'm throwing a bit of food over their way, it's not going to make a massive difference, whereas to me, it's my only food source, so it makes a huge difference. So yeah, in some situations there, I might look at the Tauhi and you sort of use that as the bit of the greedy, food source, obviously only getting food for me and not for my opponent. But I think in this situation, looking at the Nightingale a little bit more so. Noisy Miner was mainly just a block there. I don't really think that's going to be something we play. I think, as I say, already sort of struggling a little bit in terms of card access, but also egg space, and so laying even more eggs in this grassland is probably not a great idea. And to be honest, Noisy Mine I think could have been quite good for my opponent if they really did want to go heavy in this forest, and certainly getting some eggs up there is probably going to be the next thing on their mind. So they're drawing cards, but as I say, we are going to go with this Nightingale and really just build out a strong grasses. I mean, we're halfway through round 2 and we've already got an incredible grasses on the go here. White Stalk just on its own is great, but we've got some good infrastructure around it, and I think that can be key to getting some good success in these sort of games, because you can't just win with one brown power. You kind of need to build out a strong collection of brown powers if you're going to go for the engine approach, and we're certainly doing that here. So yeah, I think we'll just use this grasslands for a bit. Egg space will be a problem, but we have managed to build a little bit out here. Obviously the Nightingale's going to help there as well. And yeah, I think we just lay eggs, see what the stalk's going to give us. Certainly thinking maybe that diver could be a good one to get down in the wetlands and just use that for the occasional card drawing. Obviously the same power as the White Stalk, resetting the tray is good, just gives you sight of more birds, so certainly something we're going to look at. But lay eggs here, use the stalk, great birds coming up, great blue heron, and Trumpeter Swan. Kind of want both of those, and that is a little bit of the downside of the White Stalk, is you obviously only get to pick one, so a bit of a shame there. But yeah, do pick up the heron, and as I say, could certainly be one that we look at, maybe try and do a double play here in this wetlands into the diver. Does work for this bonus card as well, Platform Builder. We've sort of not really been focusing too much on that. I tend to not like to focus too hard on these nest type bonus card birds, but certainly with the Stork, with the Eagle already down, We're halfway there. Heron's going to help just build out a little bit more. And yeah, we should be hitting the lower bound on that without really too much trouble. But it's famous last words always. And yeah, as with many other things, it will sort of depend a little bit what we can find from the deck. And alright, on to our next turn of the game. Opponent's drawing cards, resetting this tray. And the main duck has come up, which sort of a little bit tempting. But we are just going to go ahead and lay eggs. And you see we're skipping this blackbird, and there's sort of a couple of things on my mind there. Obviously egg space is a bit of a problem, but I kind of want all these birds in hand, and yeah, I kind of want all these birds that the stalk is giving up as well. So black crowned night heron, obviously a great option. Talk of platform builder birds, that's going to be a nice one. Potentially of getting down later, but these wetland spots, they're sort of at a bit of a premium here. We're sort of yeah, potentially going to run out there, and you know, if you're looking for birds like puffin later, you want to always keep a spot available for that. So yeah, certainly a little bit of a tricky decision, and there's maybe a world where that sandhill crane might be quite nice for my opponent to just pivot into the grasslands, use some of this extra food if they're able to get some seeds. But yeah, for now, we're just kind of throwing out this nectar. I mean, it's a little bit crazy. And I'm sort of weighing up here, you know, maybe do I give out the nectar and do the double play, or do I skip the nectar and just play the night heron? I mean, night heron does hit the end of round goal as well. And it might be some way of just getting a bit more food. You know, we're doing well for food, but maybe just using that that wetlands, clear out a bit of egg space whilst we're drawing cards, get a bit more food. Could be a nice option for us here. So yeah, we're sort of, as I say, queuing up to play this night heron, and that is certainly what we're going to do. Coming into this last round, and it is going to help tie this end of round goal as well. So lots of nectar getting spent, helping on the nectar points, but yeah, getting the tie on the end of round goal, very nice. But yes, Woodcock going down, and 2 nectars left over in supply, so that's really the strength of this food co-op, as I say, just sort of flooding my opponent with nectar. It's always too much that they don't know what to do with, and it's a little bit overwhelming. But we come here into this round 3, and what a tray that is. You'd love to see that in round 1. Blackbird, barn swallow, gull. We want that barn swallow, we're not too interested in the others. Think a little bit too late. Franklin's gull. Did think about blocking it here, but I thought, even to be honest, for my opponent, you know, I had a quick look at their board, lots of cards in hand, not really got the grasslands. I think they probably want to be going heavy. We're just playing birds, using up this food that I'm giving, so not really something they're going to look too closely at. But we're able to use the night heron. We just about get the hit on the eagle, and yeah, keep using this hummingbird. So no nectar, which is a bit of a shame, but we are still going to grab some food because I think we're going to need it. You know, we're going to need it if we're going to be you know, doing these wetland plays. I'm sort of hoping for some forest birds. That's really, I think, what's missing here so far in this setup is not really finding the forest birds. So we've been clinging on to this double play bird in the hope that we can find some nice forest birds and just play them up there. Maybe some nice bonus card birds. Certainly, yeah, getting a bit more egg space is going to be nice for us as well. And we do have this end of round goal to think about at the moment, because no cavity nesting birds down. Obviously, barn swallow, we're going to look to play that. That's got the star nest. That's going to be really nice. And then this double play option as well with the cavity nest. So we just really need to find something to play with that. And that's really going to be central to trying to score some points here. But the grasses is basically done once this barn swallow goes down. Super strong. With the card cycle, just being able to pick up those tray birds, you know, it's kind of what you want to look for when you've already got a white stock down. You know, I said it with the robin earlier, but barn swallow coming up, definitely nice for us. So opponent did take food. They did actually pick up the gull there, so it did make me think a little bit. You know, maybe that was a mistake. Maybe they jumped all over that and they really wanted that gull. Probably should have blocked it, but it's too late now. They've already gone and picked it up, and well, that is why, because they had the chaffinch from earlier. Completely forgot about this. That was picked up way at the start of round 1. And I could potentially be a nice pivot for them with the chaffinch, with the gull. Even if they still got that mockingbird as well. Could be a crazy grass incoming, so we've got to watch out there. But this is where having good tempo, and this is where getting things set up quickly is really coming into my favour, because we've got our grasses going, you know, easily coming into this round 3, no problems. And we can just run it and we can just score. a bunch of points, and yeah, that's really going to be key for us here. So I'm just checking my opponent, just kind of thinking, how much food do they need? What food do they need? Do I need to be careful here? I decide not to be. We're just going to throw out the nectar. Throw caution to the wind here. Not really think too much about it. So did manage to pick up a nice forest bed there in Count Regisberger Paradise. So I think that'd be one that we look at maybe, I say, with this double play. But Platform Builder's done with the Barn Swallow, so that's good. We do still have this Heron, so maybe we can find a nice wetland bird to double play into. That's certainly going to be on my mind. Try and find Puffin, try and find Woodstock, all of those sorts of nice birds. Hopefully for another bonus card, because that's kind of what we've been lacking. We've done a lot of digging with this wetlands, with this white stalk. Not really seeing too many bonus card birds come up, so if we want a good score, we're going to need to try and add to the one good bonus card we've got. But we're certainly going to have lots of eggs, lots of tucks. Kind of need to support that with some point scoring in other areas, so we'll see how that goes. But you see my opponent has now gone into that grasslands and using this chaffinch and using this bunting, so we're going to have to be careful because, egg space is going to be a problem. We're laying 5 eggs a turn here with this blackbird as well on the tucking, so that is a little bit problematic and is going to create some challenges for us. This is really where we need some of these double play birds to come through for us. Get those plays in, clear out some egg space and generate some more of our own. So just working out what to tuck in, kind of thinking, maybe the Bird of Paradise, but maybe with that Rosella, I'm just sort of counting the egg space, counting the cavity spaces. Do actually get rid of the Bird of Paradise, and we're immediately given a slightly better cavity nesting bird in the barn owl. So not really ideal, but that might be something we look at playing just to help us out a little bit with this egg space, because I think we can get a tie here, and this is where I was sort of checking my opponent's board and counting and thinking, if they do play the gull, how much egg space is that going to give them? If they do lay eggs, how many are they going to lay? How many do they need to clear out? And it's just sort of like working those situations out and just sort of thinking, okay, is there a path to tying this end of round goal without going too far out of my way? Or is it just too big of a distraction and I should just ignore it and focus on playing some other birds? But you'll kind of see we're not really finding too many other amazing birds to go and double play with, and egg space is running out. So if we're going to be doing some of these plays, we've got to do them now. We've got to give ourselves that egg space to work with, and just really hope going into that last round that we can find some more birds to play, because we've certainly got plenty of food. My opponent does as well. I say I'm sure we're going to see probably the gull and the mockingbird. I think there's still time to make that work. I mean, it's obviously super late. I think it's kind of not the ideal time to be setting up your engine. Is late round 3. Sort of want to be doing that in round 2, as I managed to do with this board that I built. But yeah, it's all about timing. It's all about when those birds come up, and I think certainly that gull coming up in round 3 is sort of what spurred this on, and it's going to be super strong. I mean, it's going to score loads of points. It's certainly going to outgun my grasslands. But we've just got to hope that we built a bit of a lead here that gives us enough of a buffer. So there goes the gull. I say not too surprising. And we are going to do our double play, and you see a sort of umdenard here. Do a go for the grosbeak, do a go for the barn owl. Obviously can't fill up all of those spaces, which is a little bit annoying because we're only laying 4 eggs. But yeah, it's just sort of counting and just sort of thinking, what if my opponent is going to play the mockingbird here? Because I think you do want to do that. Copy the gull, get those extra tucks on the chaffinch, and obviously use that nectar. That's kind of the key as well. So just kind of like opening the door a little bit, I think. Just giving myself that option, that opportunity, trying to go for this end around goal. Obviously barn owl with a little bit of egg space of its own is potentially going to come in handy, because I'm going to keep saying it, but we've really got to be careful. We've really got to watch out coming into this end game that we don't get stuck, because the worst thing in these games where you're going grasses is you get to that last turn, you've got no birds to play, and you've got to lay eggs, and you just don't have the egg space for it, because it's just super inefficient. You're just throwing points away, basically, by not being able to lay those eggs. So yeah, we've got to think a little bit about that, and that's sort of why I'm keeping hold of this Forcer's Turn, because again, kind of like this forest double play, not really finding too many great options for the wetlands double play, so sort of keeping that with the star nest in mind. Maybe we do need that for platform builder. But yeah, for now, as I say, just sort of thinking about this end of round goal, trying to negotiate that. And indeed, the Mockingbird does go down, so in theory, my opponent can get a tie here, but I don't think they can do better. It just depends, obviously, which birds you're going to use. If you're going to skip the girl, if you're going to, copy maybe the girl, copy Lazuli Bunting. Certainly some options available there, so we'll see what they go with. But we are rewarded here with a slightly better option potentially in this wetlands for that double plate with the Rybill. And yeah, we're going to skip this blackbird, sort of again, partly because egg space is a problem, but partly because cards are also becoming a problem. We are going to need, either to draw cards or we're going to be skipping on this blackbird because we've not really got enough with these double plays. Obviously needing stuff to tuck on the barn swallow as well. Not really got enough to be throwing away super freely like that, but do get another option there in the American Bittern. Kind of annoyed that then did reveal Cerulean Warbler because that's really what I want. I need these forest birds. I've got too many wetland birds. I've got 4 wetland birds in my hand. And obviously only 2 spots to play them in. So yeah, we're going to have some difficult decisions coming our way, but we've got our opponent's turn to come first. So as I say, I was certainly looking at this and I was just sort of like frantically counting and sort of working through the scenario of laying eggs. And I think actually if they do use this as Lazuli Bunting and obviously copy that, that's going to get some extra eggs and maybe create some problems for us. But I think what's actually happening is not really seeing too many eggs going down on these cavity nests. So that sort of gave me a little bit of a glimmer of hope that maybe we're actually going to win this end of round goal. Maybe bar now. Maybe that was a genius play and we're somehow going to sneak that away because, yeah, I mean, there's 7 cavity spaces there, obviously, with the star nests, which you can lay on with the Lazuli Bunting. But we are seeing these eggs being spread out a little bit here. So maybe it's a oologist play. Maybe there's something else. That's sort of a factor in this, but it's looking like we are going to get some points from this end of round goal. And I'd say that was certainly the key. That was certainly the thinking behind a double play. Keep the barn owl over something like the Bird of Paradise. And look, if you're able to get these end of round goal swings where, I mean, even a tie instead of losing, which is what I was going for, you get those 3 extra points. But if you can fully swing an end of round goal to win it instead of losing, that's a big 6 points. And yeah, that's, better than a bonus card, I think, in some of these late game scenarios. So always worth thinking about those end of round goals. Always worth paying attention to them. And seeing if you can potentially squeeze some extra points out. So back onto our turn here, and yeah, of course we are getting the free egg from those Lazuli Bunting, but just the one. And you'll see that it's because they didn't copy it. So we're only getting the 1 egg. They're only getting 4 eggs in the cavity nest, and we are winning an end of round goal that we would potentially have otherwise lost. So definitely take that. Definitely happy with that. And we come into this last round, and I say we're going to have some difficult decisions. The difficult decisions don't stop. Round 3, we've got some real conundrums, I think, with what to play, what order to play them in. Where do we get our forest birds? That's sort of what I'm mostly worrying about in this situation because, yeah, the wetlands is pretty set. I think probably plan A would be to do the double play into the Rybill, but, we've got this Bittern for the option for the platform build if we still need something to hit that. Obviously got the turn for a little bit of a cheaper option. We're maybe going to have some nectar to think about as well, which is always tricky in these late games. So it's going to depend a bit what my opponent does, but we'll just have to see and try and react as best we can. And alright, on to our first turn of this final round. You see we are getting 3 eggs, and yeah, this is definitely going to be a problem because I'm pretty sure my opponent, they got pretty set end game here with the grasslands. Just lay eggs, spam those eggs, and it's going to create some problems for us. But we're just going to truck on. We're just going to keep laying eggs and do actually get rid of the turn there. So sort of committing to go with this Bittern. I think we should be alright for food, but we may need that for some other birds that we might want to get down. But White Stork delivering here, Goldsfinch, that is going to help out a little bit here. And maybe just give us that little bit more egg space that we do need And yeah, obviously that yellow game power, getting another bird down, so kind of functions like a double bird, but it's sort of like a delayed double bird. Downside being that we can't obviously use nectar at the game end, but we're sort of alright because we sort of prepped a little bit by having to keep non-nectar food by, you know, grabbing some food with that nightingale earlier. So can certainly see a world where we go and do the double play at the game end, but yeah, we may need to play birds even sooner than that in order to really maximize the egg space that we've got and lay eggs as many times as we can here, because again, it's what we want to do. It's kind of similar to my opponent. You know, you've got that engine set up, you want to use it, you want to score as many points as you can, and yeah, if the egg space is the limiting factor, that does create some potential problems for us here. But I think Goldfinch is going to go down. I think that's a pretty straightforward play. Obviously use that nectar, just give myself that little bit of egg space. And 3 turns left, and so what I'm kind of thinking here is probably what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to lay eggs, play a bird, lay eggs again, and then work out what I'm going to play with that Goldfinch. So yeah, we are sort of going to be gambling a little bit here potentially. I mean, you know, looking for that forest bird really. It's the only sort of bird that's going to go down here. If we are going to double play in the wetlands, we're going to need something for the forest. So you know, still going to cross our fingers and hope that something good is going to come our way. And on to our next turn here, and yeah, the Zulu bunting eggs continue, and they continue to create problems for us. So we're really running thin on these egg spaces. Might be okay because this blackbird, I'd say, probably going to get skipped. Can't really see myself drawing cards here, and we are going to need, you know, if we've got 3 birds in hand, I'm probably going to be looking to play those 3 birds. So yeah, we're obviously going to need some for tucking. We're going to see what this white stalk is going to give us as well, but we're just going to lay eggs. We're going to use Barn Swallower, and yeah, we're sort of maybe going to settle for this Clark's Nutcracker. And kind of what I'm thinking is that frees me up to double play into the Ribble, because it's a bird that's going to hit Platform Builder. It's a brown power. I'm not sure that's going to come into play for this end of round god, but it might do. So something to think about. And then yeah, as I say, we're going to skip the blackbird there, no problem. So White Stork delivering once again gives us something better than the Clark's Nutcracker. So Australian Raven, that's a pretty nice one. Not sure really how much food I'm going to have left over, but I don't think that's what we're going to be playing it for. So yeah, that definitely helps out and just gives us another option maybe to consider here. So 2 turns left. As I say, we're going to look at laying eggs one more time, but we've got to play a bird first, and it's all about working out where that's going to go. What are we going to do? Do we just play the Raven? Do we do the double play? I say we've really got to think about this nectar. That's kind of the challenge, because it is very close in this forest. Just 1 nectar in it there. So, you know, potentially if we're spending a couple with this Raven up there, that could free up a few more points for us to be scoring. But yeah, if that's going to limit us on the egg spaces, we're sort of gaining points in one area at the cost of another. So we'll take some careful management, we'll take some careful thinking. But as I said before, it's just sort of in this position reacting to what my opponent's going to do. If they're just going to keep laying eggs, that creates problems, and we've got to play birds. But if they're going to play some birds, spend some nectar, that will certainly help guide what we're going to do here. Back onto our turn once again, and once again more eggs coming through, and this time we're getting 2 of them, and yeah, the alarm bells are starting to ring here. I was really starting to worry about how are we going to have space here? How are we going to be able to negotiate this? But I think just about we are going to be okay if we do go ahead and play this Raven, because my opponent, you know, they had a bunch of nectar. They were certainly going to be playing a bird on this last turn. I really can't imagine that you'd want to go and lay eggs with all of that extra nectar, and yeah, you want to get a bird down and score some big points. So probably not going to see another free egg come through, which means if we do go ahead, play this Raven, obviously it's going to give us 3 egg spaces, but it's going to clear out 2 more. So if we do go lay eggs on that last turn and lay those 5 eggs ourselves, we should just about be okay. So that's gone down there, and yeah, so we can use the yellow power of the Goldfinch at the end of the game, do that double play with the Ribble, and potentially, you know, saving that Ribble for the end. Maybe if my opponent's going to play a bonus card bird here, maybe that's going to give us another one to choose from, but such a lack of bonus card birds coming out, and yeah, so Baltimore Oro goes down, so the nectar didn't matter. We tried to squeeze a few extra points out there, but unfortunately not to be. But we'll still lay eggs here. We're going to score big points. There's the blood songbill that might have been nice earlier. Kind of unfortunate that's come out now, but only so much you can do there. And yeah, we just grab the last fish from this nightingale, which is going to enable this double play at the game end. So yeah, tuck the hornbill there and get even more wetland birds that yeah we're not going to play, and obviously skip the silver because we don't need that nectar. We've got no use for it. We're not going to be able to keep that for the game end, and yeah, we're just going to be doing that double play. And at this point, I was trying to rack my brains, trying to remember what the other bonus card choice was at the start of the game, because I could not remember. And obviously, we're only going to get to choose between that and whatever my opponent did start with. But was close on the end of round goal, did just about squeak it, which is very, very nice for a few extra points. And it's time for the double play. So yeah, we are, I'll say, going to go play this ride bull. We're going to see what we're going to get to choose from. It's going to be Backyard Birder for 3 points. So yeah, certainly not what I had my mind on, but yeah, we'll take 3 points. I mean, from just those 2 bonus cards at the end and 2 bonus cards that other players had already rejected. Nearly a full board, but I think 3 points is still 3 points. Can't be too disappointed with that. And it is just going to help get us a few extra points, which is going to be key because yeah, we're definitely missing out on some of these nectars. As I say, try to be a little bit sneaky on the forest, but just missing out there. Grasses is always a struggle. And we did hold on in the wetlands, so very nice to at least score a few points given that all the nectar I was gaining was nectar my opponent was gaining as well. And yeah, we come into these final scores and we know it's going to be a big score because there was so much co-op going on in that game with the eggs, with the food. Lots of birds went down 66. Obviously not so good on the bonus cards, but still 10 points will take that. Good performance, I think, on those end of round goals, so we'll definitely take 20 points there, but plenty of eggs, I think, on both sides. Yeah, 29 for us is super, super strong. A few cashes from my opponent, but lots and lots of tucks in that grasses, of course, but with a few nectar points at the end. We are going to cross the line here. 149 is the final score up against 127, so yeah, big scores on both sides, but I say that's sort of the result of both going grasslands and both just throwing food and eggs around, and it's kind of co-op crazy, but I think that was to our advantage. Getting all those lovely birds down was so nice for us. So Citizen Scientist was the bonus card for my opponent, which kind of makes sense with that chaffinch. Worked out a treat, but yeah, nice grasslands, just didn't get it set up quite as quickly as I did. And I think that is sort of what sort of cost them in the end. But 149, I'll definitely take that. Very, very nice score. Getting us a win here in this tournament game. So there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you enjoyed that one. If you want to see more tournament gameplay, do me a favour, hit subscribe. Make sure you're following along. And I hope to see you in another video very soon.